Hello, and thank you all for taking the time to visit our channel. We wish you and your families good health, peace, happiness, and countless blessings in your lives. Today, we are going to listen to a deeply touching and emotional story about the kindness of a stranger. In life, we are often taught to be cautious of strangers. That is absolutely true because not everyone has good intentions. However, amid the busyness of everyday life and among people we have never met before, there are still kind-hearted individuals who are willing to lend a helping hand without expecting anything in return. Sometimes, a complete stranger becomes the faint light that shines through the darkest days of someone's life. Today's story is proof of that. In a small town lived a man named Michael, 58 years old. After working in a factory for many years, he suddenly lost his job when the company went bankrupt. His wife had passed away years earlier after a long illness, and his only daughter was attending college in a city far away. To keep her focused on her studies, Michael never told her about the hardships he was facing. His small savings gradually ran out. Rent, electricity, water bills, and daily living expenses became an increasingly heavy burden on his already exhausted shoulders. Michael searched everywhere for a new job, but because of his age, he was repeatedly turned down. Some days, he survived on nothing more than a loaf of bread and a glass of water. One cold winter afternoon, Michael received a phone call from the hospital. His daughter had been involved in a traffic accident while on her way to school. Fortunately, she survived, but she needed emergency surgery. The amount of money the hospital required was far beyond what he could afford. Michael rushed to the bank, hoping to borrow a small loan. Unfortunately, his application was rejected because he no longer had a stable source of income. He then turned to old friends. Some simply couldn't afford to help, while others politely declined. In just one day, he felt as though the entire world had turned its back on him. That night, Michael sat quietly on a bench outside the hospital. The freezing wind blew relentlessly, causing his hands to tremble. He lowered his head as silent tears rolled down his face. What hurt him most was not poverty itself, but the overwhelming feeling of helplessness because he could not save the only person he loved most, his daughter. At that very moment, an elderly woman approached him. She wore an old gray coat and carried a small bag. Gently, she sat beside Michael and asked in a caring voice, "Are you all right?" At first, Michael simply shook his head. He wasn't used to sharing his feelings with strangers. But when he looked into her kind and compassionate eyes, all the emotions he had been holding back for months suddenly poured out. He told her everything, his difficult circumstances, his daughter lying in the emergency room, and his despair because he couldn't afford the medical bills. The elderly woman listened quietly. After a long moment, she opened her small bag, took out an old envelope, and placed it into Michael's hands. "I don't have much money. This is everything I've saved over the years. Please use it to save your daughter." Michael was stunned. He immediately tried to return it. "I can't accept this. We've never even met." The woman smiled warmly. "Many years ago, my own son was in a terrible accident. Back then, a complete stranger helped my family. I never even learned his name. Today, I'm simply passing on the kindness that was once shown to me." After saying those words, she quietly stood up and walked away before Michael even had the chance to ask her name. Thanks to the money she gave him, Michael's daughter was able to undergo surgery in time, and the operation was successful. A few weeks later, she gradually recovered. When she learned what had happened, she embraced her father tightly and burst into tears. "So there really are people this kind in the world, Dad?" Michael smiled through his tears. "Yes, my dear. Sometimes the kindest people aren't our relatives or even our friends. They are simply strangers with hearts full of love and compassion." After his daughter recovered, Michael became determined to find the elderly woman so he could thank her personally. He returned to the hospital many times, asking the staff and the nearby shop owners, but no one knew who she was. It was as though she had appeared only to help him before quietly disappearing forever. As time passed, Michael finally found a new job. The salary wasn't high, but it was enough to provide a stable life for the two of them. He never forgot the woman who had changed their lives, and he made a promise to himself that he would continue spreading kindness wherever he could. One morning, on his way to work, Michael noticed a homeless man shivering by the roadside. Without hesitation, he bought him a hot meal, a warm new coat, and spent time sitting beside him, listening to his story. Several months later, Michael helped a college student pay the remaining tuition fees so he wouldn't have to drop out of school. On another occasion, he quietly paid the hospital bills for an elderly man in need whom he happened to meet. Whenever someone thanked him, Michael simply smiled and said, "Help someone else whenever you can." That's how we repay life for the kindness we've received. Many years later, Michael's daughter graduated from medical school and became a doctor. She always treated poor patients with compassion and often provided free medical care to those who couldn't afford treatment. During an award ceremony honoring doctors who had made outstanding contributions to their communities, she gave an emotional speech. "I am standing here today because of a woman I have never met. If she hadn't helped my father that day, I might never have had the chance to live. I don't know who she is, but I hope that through the work I do, I can continue the chain of kindness she began." The entire audience fell silent before erupting into a long and heartfelt round of applause. Many people wiped away tears as they realized that a single act of kindness could change the destiny of an entire family and continue to inspire future generations. Life can sometimes be incredibly harsh. We may encounter indifference, selfishness, or moments that leave us disappointed. But please don't lose faith in humanity because of those experiences. Somewhere in this world, there are still kind souls quietly helping others without seeking recognition or reward. Perhaps the greatest value of kindness is not measured by money or material possessions, but by the hope it gives to people who have lost everything. A simple question, a warm handshake, a comforting meal, or a timely act of compassion can become a miracle in someone's life. If today's story has touched your heart, remember that every one of us has the ability to become the kind stranger in someone else's life. You don't have to be wealthy or powerful. All you need is a loving heart and the willingness to help whenever you can. Thank you sincerely for spending your time with us and watching today's story. We hope this video has strengthened your faith in the kindness of humanity, reminded us all to love, share, and help others whenever they are in need, and inspired each of us to spread kindness in our daily lives. If you found this story meaningful, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with your family and friends so that together we can spread love and compassion. We wish you good health, peace, happiness, and all the best in life. Goodbye, and we'll see you again in our next heartfelt story.